Hi there, I'm Vinil Vadi, CTO at SuneraTech. Welcome to the Digital and Data edition of SuneraTech's Digital Acceleration Summit. I am privileged to be hosting this panel on leveraging intelligent automation to fundamentally change how enterprises operate and deliver value to customers. For this panel discussion, we have a stellar lineup of speakers. We have 4 special guests who are renowned practitioners, each one handling a specific line of business function like finance, supply chain, HR, and IT service management. They will be discussing how they're using and leveraging intelligent automation in their respective functions to digitally transform their current processes and get improved efficiencies. For most of the companies, automation combined with AI and analytics is a competitive weapon, but its impact is unevenly distributed. While being optimistic about the future, a leading research firm states that only 21% of the executives see significant results from their digital transformation and automation initiatives today. So given that scenario, our panelists today will share some key insights on the strategies that they've used to successfully navigate some of these automation initiatives and delivered expected outcomes or exceeded some of the expectations. So in today's panel, we are having each speaker focus on a specific business process. We have 4 focus segments covering finance, accounting, HR, supply chain, and IT service management. So without much ado, let's get started with the discussion. Joining us to share some perspectives and strategies around this topic is Sayee Gadamsetty from TracFone Wireless. For more than 15 years, Sayee has been leading IT-enabled business transformation programs for TracFone. He's been focused on transforming business operations across supply chain, finance, customer experience, and other areas using technology as the key enabler and differentiator. Welcome, Sayee. Thank you, and very glad to have you on the show.
Hey, thanks for having me here in this digital summit, and thanks for giving me the opportunity to represent TracFone. I have learned a lot during all of these summits, so hopefully I'll be able to share some of my experience and people like me can gain some benefit out of this conversations. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much, Sayee. It's always a pleasure to have a conversation with you. They're always power-packed with valuable insights for us to take away. So let's get things rolling with a broader question for you, Sayee. At TracFone, with its 10 plus popular prepaid brands, I'm sure you guys must be running a very, very complex business operations, especially when it comes to managing the supply chain across several different suppliers, retail partners, and vendors. So given that, can you take a couple of minutes to introduce TracFone Wireless to this audience and share some insight into the complex supply chain systems that you manage today, Sayee?
Everybody knows TracFone pretty much. We are at 21 million customers. We are #1 prepaid wireless company in the United States. And we have 90,000+ retail locations. These are all known facts. But why does it make complex for us, TracFone, right? I have to quantify that. We have a very unique, so very interesting and unique business model. The reason being, we support all the carriers in the United States, right? Sprint, T-Mobile, Verizon, AT&T, everybody. And then, like you said, we have 10 different brands. So technically, we are hosting 10 companies in our ecosystem, which means that I need to manage for 10 different organizations' inventory. Now, managing an inventory for one single organization is a challenge. So talk about complexity, right? 10 multiplied by whatever the complexity. So that is how complex we are managing. Now, to add to that, right? Complexity, we have another factor. All our transactions, right? Shipping transactions, receiving transactions, returns, refurbishment, kitting, all these transactions are handled by multiple 3PLs for us. So what it means is they do all the shipping, receiving, everything, and they send us the transactions very frequently, and we process them. We're getting it through EDI, process it in our ERP systems, right, and then transfer it over to downstream systems, be it Clarify, which is our CRM system, or Commerce. Now we're talking about thousands of orders, right? So what it means is I need to process all of them, not only timely, but also sequentially. I'll tell you why sequentially, right? We said 10 different companies we manage, 10 brands. So I had to make sure when we buy the products from OEMs in a base model, and then we kit them to a very generic model, and then we kit them again onto a brand specific, and then retailer and carrier specific. So these are the various stages of kitting that we need to maintain. So we have to make sure that in all of these transactions are received appropriately and accurately within TracFone systems, and also processed without any follow. Anything that does not follow, or there's a failure, there's a high likely chances of impacting the customers, right? Because they might not get the right benefits, they might not be able to redeem it, or they might not be able to activate it because our systems have got different brand than what they have in their hand. So it is very, very important that we process all of this transaction. Now, once all of this are processed, we need to also reconcile. So we have all these 3PLs across. So everybody has got its own source of truth, but I need to be a source of record. That's how I'm going to be able to do my demand planning. That's why that's how I can do my capacity planning and everything. So all this is what adds the complexity of reconciliation, heavy Excel-oriented manual jobs, right? So to simplify that, we are in the plan of going towards digital transformation powered by AI and ML that can increase the efficiencies of the business. Now, we all know that strong supply chain organizations are the leaders. Talk about Amazon, right? So that's where we like to be there. And also Deloitte came up with a very good analysis. 79% of the organizations with good supply chain are having better ROI, right? So that's how complex our systems are. And hopefully with all of this digital transformation journey, we will be able to simplify some of the processes for the business users.
All right, Sayee. Thanks for sharing some of those perspectives. There's a lot of takeaway there. As you mentioned earlier in the conversation, despite this dramatically changing environment, I'm sure telecom companies would have to continue to apply innovative approaches and technologies more actively than before to transform some of their processes, to make their workforce more efficient, and also reduce costs in their core business areas. Given this scenario, how do you see the strategic role of IT in transforming the current supply chain models? And also, you could probably throw some light on where do you see intelligent automation technologies like RPA, AI, and analytics playing a key role in rapidly enabling this transformation?
Interesting, yes. At TracFone, we are planning to be the leading organization, best in class, right? With a continuous focus on two things: customer NPS along with employee NPS. In order to achieve that, IT has got a major role, right? We need to be able to give the best in class solutions, best in class tools that helps the business. My specific role, I lead the IT support of all of the back office teams, be it supply chain, human resources, FinOps, customer services, right? Billing operations, name it. So I have a huge responsibility, not only serving the customer experience, to enhance the customer experience, I am also in charge or responsible for increasing or having a better business experience, right? So BX, and also AX, which is agents experience. So to have all these three, AX, BX, and CX, right? There's only one solution for me, which is DX, digital transformation. So there's like kind of a mathematical formula: DX is equal to AX plus BX plus CX, right? So that's how we can do. Now, digital transformation, right? Probably the terminology could be used technically very recently, but it has been existing around us. So back in early 2000s or probably late 90s, if you had to travel, you'll run into a AAA office or into a gas station, get a map, look at it, and then start driving, right? Now, slowly, you started getting those GPSs, digital transformation, right? Similarly, when you talk about automation, right? The automation has been existent back in 1960s or something around that time. We all used to do mental math, not me, but my, parents probably. And then around 1966, Texas Instrument came up with a small robo that's called as calculator, right? So it has been around us, but organizations have started adapting to the RPA, BPA, digital transformation of late, right? So did we. So TracFone also started our journey. We started with the BPA processes, low-hanging fruits, started automating some of the manual processes, workflow related and everything. And then we went to the next step, which is automating a repetitive process like invoice processing. So with that, after that, we started looking for more and more of processes where we can use cognitive RPA with AI capabilities that can help us especially in the areas of supply chain, right? So we're looking into a process for ATP, available to promise, right? It's a very complex process for us. So it's 3 different teams. They have to do a manual work. It takes time, and we're losing days and time to do all of that. So we're looking into automating that. So with this, with the RPA, cognitive RPA with AI capabilities, right? We are trying to bring in the cutting edge for the business so they can improve their efficiencies and everything. So that's how we are planning. Now, we are also looking for other areas like intent extraction, right? Intent extraction and CI, which is conversation intelligence. So we can get the intent and text. Conversation intelligence is getting a text converted in the IVR data converted into a text and getting the intent, so we can offer the next best offer or the next best action using our campaign management application. So that's our journey in short. So hopefully we will be able to get there and help all our customers.
Thanks, Sayee. Those are some really great insights. One last question before I let you go. As you were mentioning earlier in the conversation, given the factors of how complex your supply chain ops are and the need to better integrate some of those disparate processes and create 10x efficiencies, and you mentioned quite a number of areas where you see a lot of digital transformation and automation coming in to kind of optimize those processes. Can you also talk about your strategies around how you prioritize, accelerate, and execute these initiatives while ensuring the target outcomes are met?
Another interesting question. Yes, we have faced a lot of challenges, but we got there. Now, after having embarked into the digital transformation and successfully launching few initiatives, right, we have learned some tenets that can help us navigate successfully into the next set of digital initiatives. Now, to name, there are a lot of them, but let me just go to the top 3 or 4 or 5 of them, right? First and foremost, right, the objective should be get all of the backlog, but we cannot automate every processes, right? We need to be able to pick the right process. So we need to select the right process. We need to be able to make a like scientific judgment, data-backed scientific judgment. Now, for doing that, we will have to have some framework. So we are using Sunera's framework. It's called as ROCKS framework. It stands for RPA, opportunities, qualification, scoring methodology. So this gives you which process can be automated. Will it give a good ROI, right? The end objective should be, it should be high efficiency, agility, speed, low cost, right, and good ROI. So this is the 5 or 6 ingredients that you would look for when you are trying to choose a process. Now, the second thing would be build a very solid business use case. So we definitely need to have a very good business use case, which clearly defines what your end results are going to be, right? Key metrics is going to be, key ROI is going to be, right? That will make a benefit to the business as well as reduce the inefficiencies. Third one is really important. Get buy-in from your stakeholders, right? Business and stakeholders. You can have everything and you do not have a buy-in from the business, it's going to be a disaster, right? And fortunately for TracFone, our CEO, Eduardo, our CIO, Jay Smith, our SVP, Scott Delarge, right? They're all very visionary leaders. They think ahead of the time. They're super focused, super focused on the business initiatives, right? Razor focused on the business initiatives, and anything that would benefit the customers in line to the organization's vision, which is customer NPS or employee NPS, right? They're in for the game, right? All you need to do is to put a metric. This is what is investment. This is what is the ROI. They're in for it, right? That's and then fourth one is you should be able to design a scalable delivery model, right? So our mantra is start small and scale fast, right? One of the challenges that we have today in TracFone, right, is that it's and most of the organizations, all these are very new. So technically, we have less people there. So what we have done is we have partnered with other strategic partners of TracFone, Sunera being one of them, to give a solution like RPA as a service, right? So that gives us a comfort of going through more processes, in a very educated fashion. Now, the fifth is also very important, right? As we scale, right, we need to have a sustainable delivery models, right? Which needs to be continuous and consistent value. If not, what would happen is it's going to be like a one-off. You do this process and then you lose the momentum, then you come back and you do this. So we should not have that. So what we are planning is to start a COE, Center of Excellence, for all this digital transformation. So and the Center of Excellence, right? What we are trying to do is it's more of a business-driven rather than an IT-driven, right? So the moment you get a business buy-in, right? Most of the projects will be always successful, right? Because they will be able to sympathize, they will be able to understand the need for any automation. They will be able to help with designing of that. So all those things will become easy when it is a business-driven than an IT-driven. And also, when we bring in the backlog and we start thinking about all of this process, right? One thing that we want to do is choose the right tool, right? Not lock to any vendor, right? Right tool, how it can help us based on those use cases. So we are looking into all of those. And then we should be able to reuse our best practices that we have defined. So these are all some of the initiatives that we have taken to help grow in our digital transformation. It was nice talking to you, and hopefully I could share some of my experiences. And thanks once again.
Joining us to share some perspectives and strategies around this topic is Delyana Kirilova from SNC-Lavalin. SNC-Lavalin is one of the largest EPC, engineering, procurement, and construction companies in the world. It's about a 100-year-old company. Delyana runs their global finance services for them for more than a decade. Delyana has been leading the company's financial shared services, process optimization, and re-engineering projects, including the development and implementation of automation systems and tools. a certified financial practitioner with a CPA, CMA, and MBA. She has the key thought leader and influence within the organization who has been critical in identifying and development of finance process improvement opportunities, innovative and cost-effective solutions like intelligent automation to drive some of those strategic business values, like bringing in cost efficiencies in some of the process. Welcome, Delyana. Thank you, and very glad to have you on the show.
Well, thank you for having me and for the invitation. I'm glad to be here.
Thanks, Delyana. It's always a pleasure to have a conversation with you. They're consistently power-packed with valuable insights and learnings for us to take away. So let's get this thing rolling with a broader question for you, Delyana. SNC-Lavalin, with its worldwide operations in EPC, must be running a very complex business operation, especially when it comes to finance and accounting. Can you introduce your company and share some insights into the complex yet highly efficient financial shared services organization that you run today?
Yeah, sure. So the company is founded in 1911, so it's almost more than 100 years of experience already in the field, and it's a globally fully integrated professional services and project management company. So we have multiple sectors. We're present in multiple countries worldwide, and we're providing a comprehensive end-to-end project solutions, including capital investment, consulting, design engineering, construction management, sustaining capital and operation and maintenance as well. So the business operations run across various sectors. Engineering, design, and project management is one of them, infrastructure, nuclear, and resources as well as a business. So I'm leading one of the finance shared services centers supporting the business operations, and the center is handling main back office finance functions and processes, such as accounts payable, client billing, general accounting, accounts receivable, and master data management as well. Our objective, of course, is to support the business the best possible way by being a valuable business partner. And to achieve that mission, we must leverage technology to drive business process automation, run operations very efficiently. So promoting innovation and fostering a continuous improvement mindset is really part of our vision.
All right. Thanks for that fantastic perspective there, Delyana. And as a segue to the earlier topic and extending that thread and thought, it's interesting, like you mentioned earlier, that especially among EPC companies, there's a lot of disruption going on. They're rediscovering themselves in the new world order of evolving customer demands and the complex contracting when it comes to some of those finance processes, which is very radically different in nature. How do you see the strategic role of finance and accounting changing over time? And where do you see intelligent automation playing a key role in rapidly enabling this transformation?
Yeah, sure. So I think all companies are now in all type of industries are facing really a very rapidly changing environment, and almost all business functions within the organization needs to face and adapt and transform its business processes. So finance and accounting are no exceptions. I truly believe that we are witnessing a technology revolution lately, right? So the business process automation and artificial intelligence, the machine learning, all these are great opportunities actually to increase efficiency, reduce cost, improve the quality or accuracy of data, providing quick access to information or to data. So we started that journey a year and a half ago within SNC. We started, because the processes that we're managing are mostly transactional in nature, so they're very suitable for this process automation in general. So after the initial assessment that we did on identification of the potential, the robotic process automation, we decided to first focus on client billings related activities such as creating billing estimates, producing draft invoices, final customer invoices. And the reason was very simple, because it has the greatest impact on the company cash flow. So this is why I decided to focus on that first. So currently our billing estimates, more than 4,500 are run automatically and generated by the bot currently. 65% of the draft invoices are also created automatically, including extracting and collecting all the backup documentation needed by the client. We also automated the activity of sending final invoices to the client, and this is just the beginning, right? So overall, so far, we are able to achieve a reduction in the billing cycle time for around 5 days, which has a direct impact on the company DSOs. Another process that we were putting in this pilot phase of the robotic process automation was the generation of the weekly payment selections as well. So currently, almost 90% of the payment selections are run by a bot. And in addition to saving man hours and gaining efficiency, it also has improved a lot the profitability, the predictability and accuracy of the cash flow forecast for us as well. So this is just a few examples of the first projects that we started running on the digital transformation or the automation of the business processes.
Thanks, Delyana. Those were some really great insights. One last question before I let you go. As you were mentioning earlier in the conversation, given SNC's critical need for accelerating some of those digital initiatives across, your finance operations, and we did talk a lot about a lot of initiatives that you've planned for 2021. Can you talk about your strategies around how you prioritize, given that there are so many digital initiatives that you want to do, and also spend some time on your thoughts on how you can consistently deliver successfully deliver some of these initiatives while ensuring that the target outcomes are met?
Yeah, so we're still in the beginning of the journey, right? So our experience is very new, and I still consider it pilot project, right? Everything that we are doing, but few main points that we learn at hard way, if you want, or the lessons learned after our first experience. So the first point is to obtain really a buy-in from the management and make this type of initiative a priority, allocating the right resources, allocating the right teams as well, running it internally. So the second point is to put in place a dedicated team, a true center of excellence, which will be able to quickly assess the potential, make recommendation, and build the roadmap. A third point or a third advice I can provide is select the right process to automate, and use the automation not only to automate the current process, but also reassess or readjust the current process in order to make it suitable for automation. Not all of the current processes are, ready to be automated. So it is a great opportunity to kind of readjust and reassess the process and tweak it in order to make it automatable, if I may say. It is important also to develop a decision matrix, a clear decision matrix and a scorecard to help with this assessment, and to set clear targets, what you expect as end results, and how you can measure that you achieve the targets and these end results. Not less important is also identifying the right persons from the business or persons that are truly having the process knowledge to actively participate in the automation. What we realized in the beginning when we started to address the automation is that sometimes details and exceptions could be really the pebbles in the shoe, right, that can mitigate the overall success. So it's important to pay attention to details and to really witness and have the right people from the business involved into the automation journey. And as a last point, I can say also that developing a partnership with external parties like SuneraTech, for example, providing these innovative operating models like RP as a service is also helping accelerating this automation and ensure the success of such initiatives. We decided to start developing it internally or building this knowledge in-house and investing into the technology, but I'm very glad that the market is already offering a different type of operating model, so we can really benefit from this as a service and consume it on a per user type of basis, right? So it's good because it's much more cost effective. We don't need to invest into the technology, and then we can leverage this external expertise to accelerate the automation and the digital transformation. You're very welcome. Thank you. I'm really excited to be part of this summit. It's really a true opportunity for me to share our experience and also to learn from the other persons and companies' experience as well. So really excited. Thank you very much for inviting me.
Joining us to share some perspectives and strategies around this is Rajashekar, Director HRIS at Reader Affiliated Companies, or RAC as it's known. RAC is America's #1 producer and grower of fresh berries. Raja is leading some of RAC's digital transformation initiatives across cloud, IoT, and automation with a specialized focus on HRIS. Raja, for the last 15 years, has been leading HRIS strategies for large enterprises using technology as a key enabler to bring in transformation across the HR function. Welcome, Raja. Thank you, and very glad to have you on the show. RAC, with its global farming operations and which employs tens and thousands of workers every season, must be running a very, very complex HR operation. Can you take a few minutes to introduce your company and share some insights into the complexity of the HR systems and operations that you run today?
Sure. RAC, in other words, Writer Affiliated Companies, is actually a family legacy of farming. And also it's a very proud to be the largest fresh multi-berries producers in the world, and leading supplier of fresh strawberries, raspberries, blueberries, and blackberries, operating out of US, Mexico, Morocco, and Portugal. And of course, we have small operations in Germany and Canada as well. Being in ag industry, we work quite a lot with our seasonal workers, and the amount of onboarding and offboarding that happens is huge. And during a peak season, we could hire anywhere around 700 to 800 field employees in a week. Hence the amount of time it takes to onboard these employees. It takes quite some time. And also the amount of field employees moving from one crew, in other words, the department, what we call or what we refer as a crew here, or moving from one commodity to another commodity, meaning we call our products as commodities like strawberry, raspberries, blueberries, the different commodities. And the field employees moving across these commodities during a peak harvesting season is also very, very high. And this is required as a part of a process, because we have to balance our workforce across all commodities and all the ranches. And this also adds a different complexity, in terms of calculating our piece rates and incentive calculation, and this is required for our payroll. And this becomes very, very complex because the piece rate and the incentive calculation is different for different commodity. Hence, we had to develop a homegrown, application just to handle this gross calculation, and which will feed, the payroll application where the payroll processing, happens. I mean, this is one example I just wanted to, highlight here in terms of the complexity of, processes. And another challenge what we have within our ag industry, I mean, this is not specific to RAC, and probably it is, it is in every ag industry, is with respect to the field employees, and not necessarily they're always the most tech savvy, and at the same time language is also a big consideration, and people not necessarily are English speaking or English native speaking English workforce. meaning the change management is also very big, challenge whenever we plan to introduce, any new processes, systems, or new applications, within RAC. Just to highlight, some of the, key challenges or, some critical processes what we have.
All right. Great perspectives there, Raja. As an extension to that thought, and as a segue to the earlier question, today, companies like RAC are facing unprecedented levels of disruption across the value chain, like you discussed, as a result of the increased demand. Despite this dramatically changing environment, companies like yourselves would have to continue to apply innovative approaches and technologies to actively transform some of the processes to make your workforce more efficient and reduce costs in the core business areas. Given this scenario, how do you see the strategic role of HR and especially IT in transforming the current human capital management function? And where do you see intelligent automations like RPA and analytics and AI playing a key role in rapidly enabling this HR transformation goals?
Yeah, I mean, the few challenges I just mentioned in response to your previous question. We have known these challenges for many years, now, because it's not new. But however, this pandemic has, added additional complexities, within the ag industry, and also it really pushed us in prioritizing and addressing these, these challenges, as quickly as possible. To give an example, with this, pandemic and with this COVID-19, now actually we are forced to work at our ranches, with minimum staff, maintaining social distancing, and also with more frequent breaks, for sanitization and eventually, impacting our, productivity. And again, given this new norm, there's actually a serious, engagement from the leadership team at all levels on, process automation, and again, not necessarily within HCM, but every function within the business is challenged to, reimagine the key processes to improve the productivity and to try and eliminate any manual intervention. Given this, and especially within we in IT are collaborating with the key business stakeholders to identify those key processes that are critical for our business, and then look at ways and means of reducing these manual interventions and identify the opportunity for automation of these processes. Some examples could be like automated invoice, PO matching, automated onboarding and offboarding, and automated incentive and piece rate, calculation, just to name a few. If I have to, slightly dive into, one of this, initiative like an onboarding specific to HCM, we imagined, that the automated onboarding process, will help, trigger this onboarding checklist to these potential employees immediately after they have hired, and the candidate is able to complete the checklist even before their start date, which will help us save many hours, with each new hire or rehire, with this manual documentation process, and really be helpful during our peak harvesting season with large volumes, of this hiring process.
Those were some fantastic and great insights, Raja. One last question before I let you go. Like you were mentioning earlier, given RAC's critical need for accelerating some of these digital initiatives across HR and other business operations, can you talk about a little bit about how you prioritize and what are your tenets to accelerate and execute some of these initiatives while ensuring the target outcomes are met?
Yeah, sure. At TRAC, we have some aggressive growth plans, for next 5 to 7 years. including expanding our operations in new countries like China and few other countries in EMEA region. And these growth plans comes with the demand of huge support from technology. Okay, be it introducing advanced and intelligent weather sensor system at the ranches, and possibility of robotic processes or use of drones at our ranches. I mean, this is from our operations standpoint, and these are possibly coupled with expanding and optimizing our business applications as well, like our ERP applications. I mean, including our finance, HCM, and supply chain management as well, so that we are in line and we are ready for that, with those growth plans as well. While we look forward for some exciting years ahead for us at RAC, and we in IT have come up with a roadmap for next 5 years, indicating the potential projects and initiatives, which closely mapping to our growth plans. So as a process, so we have started to identify specific focus groups. I mean, in other words, we call them as innovation groups, which includes subject matter experts from different functions, who will identify the right prioritization on the new projects and initiatives, and their primary objective is to clearly defining the benefits of each of these project or initiative, and also a clear definition on return on investment, and clearly defining the benefits of every project. And again, our senior executives are very, very particular and very clear that there shall be no new initiatives or projects without a proper benefit scorecard defined. And again, coupled with this, we in IT also anticipate that automation will play a very big part in all of our new initiatives going forward, which will help our business in optimizing their processes all across globally. No, yeah, I'm very glad to be part of this sessions, and thanks to SuneraTech and the executive team for making RAC writers as part of these sessions. I guess this is the norm going forward, given that we are all remote, and that not only just our day-to-day working, but also these sessions. I don't think there will be any on-site workshops or this kind of sessions happening. So I think this is the norm going forward. Good luck to SuneraTech and its entire team for this. And as I said, I'm really thankful to be part of this session, and looking forward for some great insights from other guest speakers during this session. And thank you once again, and good luck.
Joining us to share some perspectives and strategies around this topic is Philipp Michalsky from EnerSys Corporation. EnerSys is a global leader in stored energy solutions for industrial applications. Philipp heads their entire IT operations across EMEA region for EnerSys. For more than 15 years, Philipp has been leading IT-enabled business transformation programs across large enterprises like Accenture, Jacob Holmes, and now at EnerSys. He's been the key influence and the thought leader in identification and development of business process improvement opportunities using cost-effective solutions like intelligent automation, using digital assistants and AI ops to address some of these opportunities. Welcome, Philipp. Thank you, and very glad to have you on the show.
Hello, Vinil. Thanks for having me. So as you said, I'm heading IT across EMEA for EnerSys, but my background really is in IT-enabled business transformation, especially in the ERP and CRM space. I'm happy to be part of this conference and this new format. I hope we can have some good discussion, and I'm happy to share some thoughts as part of that conversation here at the Digital X.
Thanks, Philipp. It's always a pleasure to have a conversation with you. They are consistently power-packed with valuable insights and learning for us to take away. So let's get started with a broader question for you, Philipp. EnerSys, with its worldwide operations, must be running a very complex IT operation, especially when it comes to providing IT support to employees across different countries, time zones, speaking different languages. Can you introduce your company and share some insight into the complex IT shared services and support organization that you help run today?
Of course. So as you mentioned, so EnerSys is a global manufacturer of stored energy solutions for industrial applications. And our footprint is global in terms of engineering, manufacturing, distribution capabilities, but that of course also involves IT. So our IT is historically grown and is very distributed and heterogeneous. The systems that we have followed local markets in the past, and that drives the need now more than ever for more harmonization and automation. It also makes IT a key enabler to support business across these traditional boundaries, and topics, as you have mentioned, around automation and bringing more capabilities to the business, especially given the new normal that we're all living through at the moment, as a key part of this.
Thank you for those insights, Philipp. Very useful. As a segue to the earlier topic that we were discussing, especially among today's energy and utility companies, they're facing unprecedented levels of disruption across the value chain as a result of the rapidly changing business models. Despite this dramatically changing environment, I'm sure EnerSys would see a critical need to continue to apply innovative approaches and technologies more actively to transform some of the business processes and make their workforce more efficient while reducing cost in their core business operations. Given this scenario, how do you see the strategic role of IT changing, and where do you see intelligent automation technologies like digital assistants and AI ops playing a key role to rapidly enable this transformation?
So the role of IT, as we see it, is certainly already changing, or has already changed from pure enabling of business processes through applications and infrastructure to utilize technology, also more and more to automate these same processes. Initially, the focus was very much on repetitive processes and steps, but this is developing now fast into a direction where we're trying to handle and are handling ever more complex business processes and requests through the deployment of digital assistants. And we're using new technology like AI to further increase the efficiency of employees and also to extend these services 24/7. Due to the nature of these assistants and the fact that the assistants are handling the requests in a very similar way humans would, the new services can be introduced pretty much immediately, don't require much change management at all, and also drive immediate business value. So that is certainly where we see that IT is changing from a more like a long-term focus into a more agile setup of delivering innovation quick, and that also delivers some quick returns for the.
Thanks for that, Philipp. Very useful insights and perspectives there. Just one more point before I let you go. Like you were saying earlier in the conversation, given EnerSys' critical need for accelerating some of these digital initiatives, especially across the IT service management function, and you talked about quite a lot of the initiatives that you're looking at. Can you talk about your strategy around how do you prioritize some of these initiatives? That's number one. And then how do you make sure that you execute this initiative successfully, so that we meet the targeted outcomes? If you can share some thoughts around that, that would be very useful for the audience to take away.
Goes into a more agile setup of delivering innovation quick, and that also delivers some quick returns for the business.
Thanks for that fantastic perspectives. So just one more point before I let you go. Like you were saying earlier in the conversation, given EnerSys' critical need for some of these, to bring some of these digital initiatives to handle post-pandemic scenarios in your business operations, can you talk about your strategies around how you prioritize and accelerate some of these initiatives, given that there is a lot of areas where you can bring in efficiencies, right? To kind of ensure the target outcomes are met. Philipp, can you kind of share some of those perspectives?
Sure. So the key challenge still remains around prioritization. I think that hasn't really changed with or without the pandemic, but it's gotten harder because obviously many companies are currently facing constraints on investment, and there's a general uncertainty around business and especially the next few months. Getting a clear view on the return on any investment and also the benefits before starting any new initiative is really critical, probably more critical than it was in the past. What we are trying to do is that on the one hand side, we're trying to develop and utilize automation opportunities to help us to free up resources so that we can focus on also some longer term strategic initiatives. And we're also looking at outcome-based engagements with our partners to ensure that we, the success of these initiatives is clear from the start and can also be ensured, and also to avoid, high initial investments. This is something that is probably new for us, and it's a new normal that we're going through. So that's certainly has changed over the last few months, and will probably just intensify as we're going through the next few months as well. Thank you, Vinil. Thanks for having me here at the SuneraTech Digital Acceleration Summit. It's a great opportunity for discussions and networking, and also to keep in touch, share experiences, and learn from each other as we're all going through these difficult times. So thanks again, SuneraTech, for inviting us and for giving us this opportunity. We have been working together with SuneraTech to implement digital assistants, especially in the ITSM space, to bring additional services to our users that are available immediately, and help them to address common requests and also more complex inquiries. Also, we've been working together on reducing manual workload also for the IT teams, especially in the area of regression testing, and in general, speaking about a lot of different ways to accelerate the digital transformation here at EnerSys.
Thank you for tuning into this exciting discussion. I hope you enjoyed this session and you were able to take away some significant insights on how to navigate some of the automation initiatives successfully across enterprise functions like finance, supply chain, HR, and IT service management. That said, please feel free to post any specific questions that you might have for the panelists, and we'll make sure that those get answered either in real time or offline. Thank you all once again for joining. Hope you guys have a great day. Stay tuned in for some of the exciting keynotes and panels on data monetization coming up next. Thank you so much.